if you've done seminars with me before, you know that I'm not the most structured agenda type person, and I'm very much back and forth in terms of kind of letting our conversation flow in what we do. But no, I just wanted to take some time and show you a couple of neat things that we see businesses doing with ChatGPT. And ultimately, at the end, we will, if we have your email address, we'll send you an email that has all of the information and what we tell ChatGPT and that kind of thing, so you don't have to make rapid writing notes if you don't want to, and we'll make sure that you get copies of it. So is everybody kind of familiar with what ChatGPT is? Is anybody not familiar at all with what it is? You know, OpenAI, which is the company that created ChatGPT, I guess it was 8 or 9 months ago when it first really kind of started having notoriety and taking, being at the top of what people were talking about. Since then, it's developed a lot. There's a lot of kind of misconceptions maybe about it, about what it can do and what it can't do, and about the privacy things around it. And we'll kind of dive into that a little bit today as we are going through some of the examples that I'm going to give you. And I'm just going to show you ways that, like at SmartPath, that we use it, that I've seen some of our clients use it, and then by all means interrupt me and say, hey, let's tell it this, let's tell it that, and we'll see which direction that it goes. I think I heard you down there say that you were using it to write some code and do some spreadsheets and that kind of thing.
Yes, I'll give you an intro. It works great.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be very specific what you ask it.
And that's one of the things that we'll kind of get in here today. It's very much, people think of typing computer commands, which are kind of very black and white, and it is ChatGPT. Depending on how you tell it, what you're telling it, and how you tell it you want it to act, that kind of thing dramatically affects what you get, as well as how much you tell it at one time, how much you chunk it up and break down versus giving it 7 instructions at one time, that kind of thing. If you don't know, there's 2 versions of ChatGPT. ChatGPT 3.5 is the free version. Anybody can sign up for it. You can go sign up for it, and it's totally free to use. ChatGPT 4 is a more updated and a little more verbose version of GPT. We'll look at what does one version give you when I ask it something, and what does the other version give you when I ask it something, to kind of give you some ideas. GPT-4 is also a little more advanced because you can do things with it. You can go out and browse the web with it. There's plugins that you can use with it. You can say, create a PDF file for me, and actually have a PDF file created for you. Whereas GPT 3.5 is much more just conversational back and forth with it. Probably one of the most common things that you hear about, you see, is ChatGPT helping with marketing. And so one of the things that the Federal Trade Commission, back at the 6 months ago or so, they enacted some legislation that really affects a lot of different industries, but one of the industries that it affects are car dealers. And it really, to the Federal Trade Commission, now treats car dealers in the same class as it treats banks when talking about how they have to protect your private information if you go apply for a car loan, for example. It's called the FTC Safeguard Rule. So one of the most common ways that you typically hear ChatGPT being used is just for marketing and for blogging. So and we'll go here, I'm gonna copy and paste this. I actually told it this last night, so we told it, I want you to act as a trusted consultant, a friend, and an expert in the technology industry when you do what I'm going to ask. I want you to write a blog article for me about the Federal Trade Commission's new privacy ruling and how it affects car dealers. The article should be at least 700 words in length. Write it in a compelling, persuasive tone that encourages readers to inquire if they're affected, if so, And if so, what they need to do. Include a link in the last paragraph that will go to a landing page. So I told it that, and pretty quickly here, I'm going to tell it, I'm going to actually give it one in real time, you'll see, but pretty quickly it came and typed all that for me. So a good example of that is, and when I'm doing this, I'm just pulling all of this out of my mind unless somebody speaks up and tells me what to type. So write a blog article for my bakery's website about the health benefits of a gluten-free diet and how people can still enjoy their Thanksgiving foods. It needs to be at least 600 words, and we want it to encourage people to buy our sweet potato casserole for Thanksgiving. It's gluten-free. So, it's going to go through here, and I'm a bakery. I don't want to talk to my people about weight management. I want them to eat. So we're going to tell it because this is, you get in and you have to kind of clarify it some. So that's great, but I like my customers to eat, so we don't want to mention anything related to weight loss. Also, tie in a turkey joke. So, because we don't want to, you run a bakery, you don't want weight loss in your blog article. Now, maybe you don't agree that eating at your bakery is going to give people better skin health. I mean, it's not perfect. Again, you're going to take this, you're going to put it into Microsoft Word and read it, edit it, take out what you don't see. But you can kind of see that very quickly what it's able to do there. So if you, for perspective of what I was talking about earlier, this is using the free version of ChatGPT 3.5. To show you the difference with that and GPT-4, telling it exactly the same thing. And this would be the kind of blog article that we would get with GPT-4. You'll notice that it's going to include formatting, bolds, italics, and it's just going to be a lot more verbose. It's also going to be slower to compose than 3.5, but you'll see here. Sometimes it has a personality of its own. We told it we wanted it at least 500 words. We didn't tell it that we didn't want it over 1,500 words. It could go on for 3 days. It's not going to, but it likes instructions. But you can see the quality of the blog article you get out of 4 versus out of 3.5. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're both great blog articles for 45 seconds of us typing some, coming up with but you can see this one is just, this one's more in depth. It includes more information. It will cite sources, et cetera, et cetera. But that's really quick, just there's your blog article. Like, there's no reason everybody can't go put a blog article on their website today in like 30 seconds. I mean, it's easy. So that's one. The other, I don't know why the ClickShare is not liking us. There we go. So somebody was telling, I was somewhere the other day, and they were talking about how social media is a pain, and they never can think of things to post on their Facebook page. And do they just post pictures? Do they post jokes? Like, what do they post? Stuff that is scientific about their business that other people may not be interested in, So again, if we'll just say, I need you to act as the top fitness trainer in Western Kentucky and write me a week's worth of Facebook posts that encourage fitness, inform that we offer gift certificates for the holidays, and gives people some basic fitness routines they can do at home.
Willie's not showing on the screen.
So since it didn't show Monday and Tuesday, there you go. Motivation Monday, and there's your Facebook posts for the entire week. Now, again, you can say, we don't want to mention family fitness, but we do want to talk about getting fit with your pets. Please rewrite that one. And it's going to go through and just rewrite that single one that you told it. I mean, it knows what you, and there you go. So there's you a week of Facebook posts that are pretty easy just to immediately come up with. So like I said, marketing, those kind of things, that's a very common thing that you hear in or you hear about with ChatGPT. So one of the things that, and this gets more into some of the things that I do, and I will show you this one and write this one for you here in a second. But one of the things that I told it is, I'm going to pull up here, provided that my screen stays on. There we go. In fact, what I can do is I will just go, because I have it here, surveillance. So here is a security camera on a web page, okay? And some details about it. I'm going to simply go over here to ChatGPT and say, and I'm going to come back to my web page and say, I'm going to copy all of this, and I'm going to tell it, I need your help to write a proposal to sell and install security surveillance cameras. Here are some details about the cameras. And I just copied it from my web page. I'm just going to paste it over there. The cameras will cost my client $300 each. We estimate that they need 15. Installation will take 3 days. We charge $150 per hour for installation. The proposal needs to include all standard materials for a project like this, as well as a place for the client to sign off and approve the project.
So know how many hours per day on those 3 days?
Yep. That's great, but I think that it forgot to include, I think you forgot to include materials like wiring and attachment hardware. How's that?
So you're really talking to it like it's a person.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it wants. It wants you to talk to it like it's a person.
Smart person.
And in fact, one of the things that we'll look at in one that I'm going to tell it in a second, it actually will typically give better responses if you give it a personality. And I know this sounds goofy, but give it a name and tell it what that person does. Christy, my wife, sells a lot of stuff on eBay, and it's great at analyzing an eBay listing against other similar listings to tell you need to improve your picture quality. You suggested that you write your description like this. Those kind of things. It behaves much better if I tell it that its name is Herman and it's eBay's top listing analyst and has worked at eBay for 20 years and I need it to analyze this listing than if I just ask it to analyze this eBay listing.
You may be getting to this here in a minute, but does it create a fillable PDF?
Oh yeah. So GPT-4 will create a fillable PDF. So yes. One of the things that we looked at earlier, to hop back for just a second, was our blog articles about the FTC. One of the functions that GPT-4 has is we have that blog article now, but we need a good photo to go along with it. So we're going to say, I want a photo of an auto dealership in the wintertime with snow on the cars. And give it a minute or two here and it will create us the images that we want to go along with our blog article. So you can pretty much, again, just like you can tell it anything you want it to write for, you can tell it describe any kind of scene, image, whatever the case may be. And
It is creating, it's not just pulling.
no, yeah, it is generating it. Yeah, it's generating. I mean, I could say with a purple Ford sign in the background and it's going to put a purple Ford sign or what, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it could say, automobile dealership that only has school buses on it. There you go.
You have full rights to use that photo?
Yeah. And those are, like I said, they're never seen. I mean,
They're kind of digitally created.
yeah. There you go.
You change those in Mercedes.
So that's a good question. So I would like the cars shown to be Mercedes.
We could have everybody's house weeks.
Okay, yeah. And then we'll see here, but yeah.
Can you do different styles of pictures, like a portrait or painting?
Yes, you can give it different image types, I guess, if you will, but different impressionistic. It does really good impressionistic drawings and art.
This is in 4.
Yeah, this is in 4. It's
So
included
in
4.
4, are there like training videos in there that show you how to use that?
There are, but I'm like, literally, you have to, the biggest thing is like, I mean, and there you go, there's your Mercedes in the snow lot. So, but no, it's like, the best thing you could do is just honestly talk to it like you talk to somebody, as you're sitting across the table from eating dinner, or if it's work related. talk to them about, talk to it like you would talk to your CPA. In fact, one of the ones here, this is pretty neat here. So you all are all familiar with what a profit and loss looks like, and this is our friend Craig, who has a little landscaping business. There is Craig's profit and loss comparison for 2 years. We're just going to highlight, his entire profit and loss here, and come back over here and say, again, we'll do it in 4 and then in 3.5, so you'll see the difference. I am going to give you a 2-year comparison of my business's P&L. I want you to analyze it and tell me trends that I most likely am not seeing myself in my business's financial health. Control V, there you go.
So I noticed you're typing all that in. Is there a talk to text option?
Yeah, in fact, I do Siri all the time, and there's a ChatGPT app for your phone, and so a lot of times I'll be working on something, and then at the end of the day, I'll go home and finish it on my phone on Siri.
If you resend the same instructions twice, does it give you an identical?
It does not. It does not, and that's where it does come in how you ask it. If you, and here I just told it I was the owner. We'll do this in a second. We'll tell it in a second that it is that it is a CPA and that it needs to check the bookkeeper's work, and it'll give it same data, but gonna give it to you with different facts. And
So I'm sure, I'm saying a lot here, but I'm sure you can upload your own photo to use whatever.
you can.
Just copy the file and it'll.
You can. I'll show you how you do it. So this is 3.5. Not bad. I mean, it's not necessarily great, but I mean, it probably told me some stuff that that I wouldn't maybe have known. So let's take the exact same thing, or let's take the exact same prompt, and we will tell it. Now, in GPT-4 versus 3.5, same thing. And I mean, and then you could, if you want to, you could dig in and say, so tell me more about why my automobile expenses are up. I don't think that I spent that much more on fuel. And it's going to go and look at those expenses and give it to you. So to answer what you had said, with GPT-4, the paid version, one of the things that you get are the ability to use what are called plugins. There's all kinds of plugins, and I'll show you here, but a common one that I use very frequently is called Access Link. Well, all that does is give me the ability to access a link. Here's that camera that we were looking at earlier. So now instead of having to copy and paste it, well, it doesn't matter if this is a link to a picture, a link to a document, a link to a web page, I say, write me a summary of the features of this camera. and just post Control V the link, and there you go. And again, you can say, I want you to look at this picture and post the link to a picture. You could post multiple addresses in one prompt, in one command.
So it's the exact same thing, you're just not doing all the copying.
Yeah, you're just not doing the copy and pasting. And where this becomes really handy is, so I live in Calvert City. I love Calvert City. Calvert City has the most convoluted, complicated zoning ordinance that that you could ever hope. Like if you want to put a sign up, but it can only be this many feet away from a side road, this many feet. I mean, the typical stuff that you deal with in zoning. And that's not even the problem. The problem is it's impossible for anybody to understand without dealing and calling and talking 5 hours to 4 different people what you're allowed to do. Where becomes a lot easier copying and pasting is the zoning ordinance is 72 pages. Just give it the link to the zoning ordinance and say, how far away from the road does my sign have to be in a B2 zone? And you don't have to deal with City Hall. You don't have to read it's just gonna tell you. So you wouldn't want to copy and paste 72 pages necessarily, but you do want to make sure it looks at the whole zoning ordinance. That's where much easier to give it a link. And like I said, you can see here, it went out, looked at that link, and here's what it thinks about, what it knows about the camera. There are literally plugins to do just about everything. There's a really good website, it's a free website, it's called whatplugin.ai, and that's where you can find just about any. So let's just say, I don't know, let's just say stock trading. Okay, didn't like stock trading, let's just say stocks. Investments in trading, how about that? 1-page stock ideas, it's number 9 in investments in trading. So you can see they have different categories, investments, and here are the best. So you can go into any of these, it tells you what it is. Simplifies the process of analyzing global stock values using quantitative factor methodologies. I mean, or let's say, for example, web page design. We'll pay web page. So web page summarizer, web development tools is probably what we want. So here, if you want, and people are doing this pretty frequently, if you want to make an app, all you have to do is just it will create an app for you if you tell it. But all kinds of stuff that there's one of the more popular ones is, especially with kids, audio and music, you can tell it, you can type, what you want a song to be. You want a song, it needs these lyrics, you want this beat, this tone, and it will produce the music for you.
What's the cost to do that?
A couple of the plugins do charge. A lot of them are free. They typically are putting some restrictions on how much you can generate. For example, a lot of the audio generation plugins are limiting you to 3 songs a day, for example. I assume because their costs are high, they're offering it for free because they haven't figured out how to profitably monetize it yet, but they're having to throttle their expenses a little bit. But there's all kinds of. So here's one. If you need if you're doing a YouTube video, you don't want to be in front of the camera, it's very easy to develop an AI persona, picture person, and then get their own voice, make their own person, and then that is the spokesperson that's on all of your YouTube videos. So
it will export a MP3 file.
Oh yeah.
So you don't have to pay for talent in your own commercials. You can.
Yeah, correct.
You said something earlier about analyzing an eBay listing. How would you kind of show how that would work?
Yeah, let's find something. No, that's, well, so let's just find something on eBay. So here, we'll just take that iMac and we'll just copy the link, so Control C, and there's all kinds of ways you could do it. What I would typically say, this is an eBay listing that I have that isn't selling and isn't getting any views. Can you look at it and give me suggestions of what to change to sell it as quickly as possible for the highest dollar? And again, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it'll have to ask it a second time, but we'll see what it tells us.
You need to do on GTP form.
You do, because you got to give it a link to it, unless you want to copy and paste it. But if you don't give it the link to it, then it can't do things like analyze your picture quality. Yeah.
You were talking earlier about creating a persona for it.
Yeah.
Do you need to do that at the beginning, at the end? Do you have to do it every time?
You do have to do it every time, although you can give some ChatGPT some basic instructions about yourself or about your business that transcends time. Like, I own a technology company, our core values are X, Y, and Z. This is the solutions we provide, and it just kind of goes into every chat knowing that. But then generally beyond that, yeah, we'll do it every time here. So here's what it's saying about our eBay listing.
Willie, that's in the settings, isn't it? About where.
It is. So down here, like, the interface is so dead simple to use. There's nothing to it. But when you create a ChatGPT account, you have your name down here. There's 3 dots next to it. You have like 3 options: My Plan, Custom Instructions, and Settings. And custom instructions are where you tell it about yourself, your business, whatever the case may be.
So if it's telling you this about the eBay, and it's giving you the feedback, you can then go back and say, okay, thank you, please write a new description for me.
Oh yeah, or here, please write a more compelling description than I have for this item. There you go.
This also gives you the ability to create unique content freeform for communities.
Yeah.
A lot of people love just copy and paste from like whatever the manufacturer has in there.
Yes.
You get better SEO if you do that as well.
Is all this saved on the site?
It is.
Just automatically, you don't have to.
It is. So, one of the big concerns everybody has is privacy, and that's one of the things that you hear about ChatGPT a lot. By their own letter of the law, by their own writing in the terms and conditions, if you pay for the paid version, they tell you that they do not keep a transcript or any copies of your chats for longer than, I want to say, 7 days, and that they do not use them whatsoever in training ChatGPT to give better answers. There's the profit and loss thing. Like, that's one that people like I would never ever do that. Well, if you notice what I didn't tell it it was Craig's design and landscape. I just copied the profit. It could be mine, yours, a company, in Japan's. I mean, I'm not giving it confidential information. And what we do, typically businesses pay us a flat fee and we manage all of their technology every month. We have what we call processes or procedures of how we do things. You fire somebody, what needs to happen with your email. Pretty much the same, whether you fire somebody, you fire somebody, you fire somebody, you fire. We follow the same process. We also keep information that's very specific to you about where are the printers in your office, and where does the accounting software live in your office, those kind of things. You know, again, it's common sense. I'm not going to give it anything that tells it where the accounting software lives in your office, but I don't have a problem at all giving it our process for what we do when you fire somebody and their email needs to forward. It's not anything that's specific to anybody. If it got out there, I mean, maybe it's a little of my secret sauce, but it's not that big of a deal. It's just a little bit of common sense, you know, is what I tell people with the in terms of their privacy concerns and that kind of thing.
If you wanted to export their answer, its answer, right there to a PDF, how would you do that?
So if you're using GPT-4, there are several plugins that will allow you to actually create a document, create a spreadsheet, or I use DocuMaker a whole lot. So you could just say, because we got DocuMaker, now summarize this product and produce a PDF for me of your summary. There you go. The other thing, you know, that's important to realize is the deeper into a conversation that you get with it, especially GPT-4, the more it starts to quote unquote hallucinate. So it will forget to do things that you might have told it to do in the very beginning as you get 37 messages back and forth into it. GPT 3.5 is actually much better at keeping itself on track than GPT-4. So, you know, again, that's where you got to think, if you're giving it a large project to do, how do you chunk it up a little bit? And you, after you've just gone back and forth and played with it, you learn over time, oh, I need to tell it things in, you know, 3 sentences at a time, and let's do all the math and the, what, you know, whatever. So, yes, I told you to create a PDF. Yes.
So things I forgot.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't always behave, like I said. Sometimes you'll just get a big red error, and it'll be like almost finished with something, and it'll just say, error, you have a button that says regenerate, and it just starts over from the beginning. But most of the time it works pretty good.
Really, maybe get down in the weeds just a little bit. Who are you talking to, and how does it work?
That's a good question.
What's that? Not who. What are you talking to?
So, so there's your PDF. You can download it here. So let's see what it looks like. We gave it that link and told it to. There you go. There's a PDF, and download. There you go. So there you can pretty simple. No, to Chip's question, you're talking to what they call a natural language model, or a natural learning language model. And it's, if you think about like how humans communicate, like, you know, the typical structure of a sentence, which isn't the same all over the world, you know, but the way that we talk, it takes a lot of that same knowing that, and I'm just pulling this out of my head, but knowing that a verb comes before an adjective type thing to know how humans talk. And it really has been, it's really done very good at, when they have given information to learn on, to join, to figure out, hey, if he's talking about viewing distance of a Canon camera, and I'm talking about viewing distance of a surveillance camera, we're both talking about a camera, and we're both talking about viewing distance, they must be related somehow. I mean, if that kind of makes sense, and that's, you know, and that really is kind of how it's, how they have matured it. The latest, so I want to say, I want to say for GPT-4, the latest information, the latest public information that it's trained on is early 2022, and I think for 3.5, it's fall of 2021. So if there is a new fire alarm that came out in March of this year, probably not going to know about it, that kind of thing, or a new video game or whatever, a new movie, whoever. A movie that was, if it's Home Alone, it's going to know everything you ever wanted to know about Home Alone. So
you could ask it to like create trivia questions, like
Oh, yeah.
trivia night or anything like
Or here, this is even great. Like kids love this. So I want you to help me create a board game for my 13-year-old and her friends. Ask me whatever you need to create the most fun and time-filling game possible. I mean, that's pretty generic. We'll just see what it asks us. If it asks us anything. I'll need to gather some information from you. There you go, and it's going to ask me. I don't know.
This is using 3.5 or 4.
I think this is 3.5. Like, it asks me a question, it really does like for you to answer it. Like, it gets offended if you don't answer it. So I like it. Good work. Please write the cards for me now. Okay, and there, it'll write the cards. 5 points.
If you're using Sprocket, you can create the graphics too, couldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's really is this easy to write it, to do an app, to do just about anything. It's a matter of you just have to get used that you're talking to something in very normal human language. It's not technical programming that doesn't want you to talk about integers. It just wants you to tell it.
Yeah, so when this first came out, the kids were using it to do like reports and stuff, and they created another program to put it through to make it more humanized.
Yeah.
Have they fixed it towards more humanized now, or do you still need to run it through if you're writing a longer essay or something?
You got to break it up into chunks and keep it human as it's going along, or you need to humanize it. And it goes back to it needs to be reminded of what its job is and who it is especially in GPT-4, probably every 10 or 15 messages. So or be reminded of why it's doing what it's doing. So.
Willie, do you have the Canva plugin?
I do. I don't know if I have it loaded or not, but I think I do. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. I love Canva. Canva's awesome. So in GPT-4, like I said, you could do your plugins, plug in when you come to it, plugins, and it shows our plugins down here. You can have up to 3 plugins. If you go down to the very bottom, is your plugin store, and this is all of your available plugins. Because I think I had uninstalled Canva. So let's see. Yep. So I will install the Canva plugin. So there's the Canva plugin.
This is a pretty good employee, isn't it?
Yeah. So create a Facebook graphic for our Black Friday pancake sale using Canva.
Could you do it in like comic book style?
Yeah. So it'll give me some. And I forgot, obviously, to tell it my website when I was telling it what I wanted, so then I'll go back and tell it, yeah, but my website is www, and then it'll regenerate the graphics with your website on it and that kind of thing.
So basically, it's producing the promotion, and then it produces a graphic too for that day.
Yeah.
Everything you need.
Again, it hallucinates sometimes.
So,
Maybe.
So, when the red boot or shoe comes up and it's supposed to be a pancake, you can just tell it to change that to a pancake.
Yeah, and you tell it, I mean, and again, be respectful to it, but tell it, no, I think you misunderstood me. No, you misunderstood me again. And it knows it doesn't want to misunderstand. Like if you tell it 2 or 3 times, it will try to get it back. So, you were, the eBay one that you were asking about earlier, I'll show you one of the best, because it really does make a big difference of your prompts, but I'll have to find it here. Give me just 1 second. In fact, I just passed it. So eBay listing optimization. And I think what I told it was, it's here somewhere.
Is there a way to search that with that?
There he is. In fact, that might be the thing to do. eBay listing improvement tips. So let's see. Whoops, no, eBay. Yeah. So let's see. So again, I was telling you it lacks personas. This is one that I did, and this actually. I'm going to describe some analysis of eBay data that I need your help with. I want you to act as if you're eBay's top listing analyst, Feezer. You've worked there for many years and you know the Cassini algorithm, which is eBay's algorithm, inside and out. You've been selected to help a special eBay seller out by dedicating your experience to help analyze their current listings and provide them the strongest recommendations along with some accompanying data about their listings to get all of their particular listings sold lightning fast for as much money as possible. When analyzing listings, you know how to use AI and systems to determine what needs to happen with any particular listing to get it sold absolute fastest for the highest amount of money. Consider everything, including pictures, misspellings, what the top titles are of similar items. I want you to track your responses for each thing that we analyze to report on. You know, it likes that. Like that, it wants to be told, that's who you are and this is what I want you to do, much more than I want you to analyze this eBay listing and tell me how it could be better. Like it knows who it's supposed to be then. I mean, and I know that sounds goofy, but it knows who it is. It will react much better when given kind of that guideline of.
It's kind of like writing a job description.
Yes, it wants to show off.
Yeah. So, and it does, you know, and it tells you what it's going to do, how it's going to compare, and give you overall trends. And so I gave it a bunch of.
You're actually uploading your data.
Yeah, well, that's all my my eBay stuff. Maybe somebody will find it and go buy it.
So it didn't help.
It did help. It did help. Christy sells a lot of clothing on there, and one of the things that it helped is to point out that where she had items that had like specifics like outer shell material or skirt length that were abnormal from other similar sold items, because they thought that she probably had it incorrect in the listing, and so in a lot of them she did, yeah. So, yeah, everybody kind of got used to Google and YouTube for this, but the other thing is I need to know how to do something. I need to know how to add a row of cells in Excel and then find the average over a specified portion of those cells, whatever. And like literally, it's going to tell you first open Excel. It will give you step-by-step instructions. You go do it. One of them doesn't work. You come back to it and say, I just did number 2, but it's not giving me the answer that I expected. And it's going to come back and say, and more times than not, it'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong formula. Try this one. So, but again, whether it's this, whether it's how to change the belt on a lawnmower, or whatever, it will tell you pretty much how to do just about anything.
And instead of giving directions, it also create a template in Excel. Yes,
correct. I'm an only child, and my mom is 84 or 85 now, and so she's at the age where we have a caregiver and those kind of things, and I've realized that those are like employees, and you actually have to manage them and tell them what you want them to do and not do and those kind of things. And I have a lot going on otherwise, and that's just not my forte, but this helps me tremendously. So because here's what she needs to do. I give it the list of the medicines. It writes the charts of when she needs to take them. It prints out binder sheets. It tells them what it is, all kinds of stuff. So it tells them, again, like what are the medications, what's Kenalog cream. Then I tell it, because she's very, very allergic to penicillin. I'm putting together a binder for whoever's staying with her to know what she has. She's allergic to this, this, and this. Can you write me a patient summary of this patient for a caregiver while her primary caregiver was off on vacation or something else, for someone who's not familiar with her? You don't have to list specific medications, but just a half a page or so with high-level overview of the patient and the top notes and things to know about her. And then there you go. She has extensive food allergies. She's starting to get forgetful, general care guidelines. And there. And again, you can tell it the people's personality, and it'll start writing a personality. So Charlie's my operations manager. He's probably down there, and Charlie has I guess he's a junior this year at McCracken County, and his name is Brody. And Brody is probably the only high school kid who he likes categorizing things in QuickBooks for me. Like that's what he does. That's his job for 4 or 5 hours a week, is categorizing our QuickBooks. Brody's a very unique kid, and we figured out that we can we probably spent 20 minutes telling ChatGPT about Brody, what Brody does, what Brody's response to a typical question would be, what did you do today, that kind of thing. And then we told it that we were going to start asking it questions, and we wanted it to answer as it expected Brody would answer. So then Charlie can ask it something and kind of anticipate what's Brody going to say before he asks him. So you can tell it and then, ask it about what you've told it, as well as just giving it fresh stuff to look at too. So I think that's about time, guys, but I'm going to be here for a while. I hope this was good. I hope this was useful. I'm happy to always talk deeper and go deeper into any of this stuff, I love it. I mean, this has helped me tremendously. One of the best things, I am the most ADHD person in the world. Like, you all will never meet a more ADHD person than me. One of the best things about this is there is a mobile app for it. As I'm going through my day, when I have a squirrel moment or think of something, I just go and type it in right then. Like, I just type it, I have a ChatGPT chat with my notes for the day, and then at the end of the day, I just tell it, write me a summary of all of my notes for today and anybody that I need to get a hold of. And like, if I tell Henry that, hey, I'll call you tomorrow, I will totally forget by the time I walk out and get down there. But if I've got myself disciplined enough, as long as I put it in ChatGPT, at the end of the day, it gives me a summary and tells me Henry and the 6 other people that I told I would call today. And I just can't forget that way. So
I guess the app will also, is there a plug-in like in your text messages where you can just, because my fat fingers, by the time I write
I do Siri. I do Siri all the time in it. So yeah, where this is, the other place where this is becoming really powerful is not in public information, but let's say all of us have email. I mean, like, all of us probably have a mailbox that has at least a year, if not many years of email in it. We have Word documents that we've all typed over years, whether they're in your My Documents folder or on a server somewhere or wherever, whatever the case may be. So you just take Chris and you take all of your email, just give no information outside of Chris, but just give it access to all of your email and to all of your documents. You're out of town for a week. Your employees need to know how to deal with a situation. They've got 7 years it has 7 years of your email and what you've done every time that somebody's card has failed to run and what's the form, and it knows. And all they have to do is go in and tell it. It's going to answer in the tone that you answer, with more than likely the advice that you would give them, because you've got it in your emails and you've dealt with that situation 7 times. You know what I mean? And so that's where it becomes really, really powerful. I would foresee in the next 4 to 6 months within Excel and Word, you're going to be able to tell Excel, hey, I need to get the average of all of the cells that are under the income line, and it's just going to do it for you. You're not going to have to position formulas and stuff anymore. And I would say that, again, with Word, you're going to see the content. I need a blog article for this, and it's just going to do it and produce it in Word. Microsoft has bought into OpenAI, and so it's coming very, very quickly that it's going to be in the Office suite. So.
Well, thank you, Willie.
You're welcome.